All right, let me guys tell you about 7.2 special right triangles. Okay, it is not hard. Okay, it's not hard. However, you do have to put in the work. Okay, again, there's a difference between putting in the extra work versus it being hard. Okay, the huge thing is you need to memorize these rules. Okay, so practice. We're going to practice next class when I'm back. Okay, but you guys got to put in the work today in order to somewhat understand next class. Okay, so a little fun fact, you actually have two different types of special right triangles. There is the 45, 45, 90, which actually are isosceles triangles. Because if you remember, what was it, the equilateral triangle? That's not good. The isosceles theorem, right? Because we have an isosceles triangle. Y'all don't draw this. You do not draw this. We have an isosceles triangle. These two sides are congruent. The opposite angles are congruent. So 45, 45, 90 triangle will always be isosceles. And then you have the 30, 60, 90 triangle. So look at the difference with these two. So this will be an isosceles, this will be scalene, okay? And this one, you can't kind of really tell the difference. One, because of the angles. Two, these look congruent. These two legs are obviously one smaller and one shorter, right? So it's really important to know that. Okay. Again, you have to identify which special right triangle it is. So whether it's a 45, 45, 90, or 30, 60, 90, and then determine the rules for that. And those rules help you solve the problem. Okay, so let's talk about some of these rules. Okay, if you remember from last class, okay, there are legs and hypotenuse on a right triangle. The legs are what touch the 90-degree angle. The legs touch the 90-degree angle, and the hypotenuse is opposite the 90-degree angle, right? It's a cross arm. It does not touch. Okay, so this is a leg, and this is a leg. Okay, so the legs are going to be called L. Pretty easy. L is just a variable, right? L kind of stands for X, but we might have X in a problem or something, so it can get kind of confusing. Like right here, right? We solve for X and Y. If we have a problem where we called Y X, then it can be pretty confusing. Okay, so that's where we're going to call it L. Okay, the hypotenuse's rule will be called L square root of 2. That means whatever the number is for L, we're going to multiply that by the square root of 2. Okay, don't freak out on me yet. We'll make it easier for y'all, and y'all just convert it to a decimal. Okay, so remember, the ones that touch the 90-degree angle are called L's. Okay, the one across from the 90-degree angle is called L square root of 2. Okay, so now let's put that into math. Now, the huge thing about these is to always, always, always label your L's and L square root of 2. Okay, so 8, what would that be labeled? It will be labeled an L because it's touching the 90-degree angle, right? What will X be labeled? It'll also be labeled L because sorry, I got a text. Because it's touching the 90-degree angle, right? And then Y is the hypotenuse, and the hypotenuse is labeled as L square root of 2. Okay? Here's the thing with these problems it's best if you have your L already. And do we have a number for L? Yes, it's 8 because you said 8 is L. So what would X be? X will also be 8 because X is also labeled L. Okay? Now, what is Y? We said Y is L square root of 2, right? Well, what's our L? 8. And you guys cannot type a square root into Canvas, at least not that I know of. So what you're going to do is convert this to a decimal. Ooh, that's ugly. And round to the tens place. Okay, so everyone go in the calculator because you need to practice this. Okay, so let's go to the calculator. Again, we're going to type in 8 square root of 2. So you literally don't do anything. You just type that in as it is. So you type 8. How do we get our square root? Second, x squared, and then 2. Okay, remember, your square root, to get it, you hit the second button, and then x squared. Okay, well, once you have that typed in, 8 square root of 2, you hit enter. You get a very long decimal, 11.313708499. So what is that decimal rounded to the tens place? It's 11.3. Okay, so that's it. Y'all do number 2 by yourself, and then we'll go over it. Okay, actually pause and do it, please. All right, I hope y'all worked it, because again, like, you're only going to get this if you practice it, if you do independent practice. Okay, so what did y'all label 25 as? So labeled it L because it's a leg, because it touches a 90-degree angle. Y would be labeled as L. Good. And then X will be labeled as L square root of 2 because it's hypotenuse. Okay, well, which one? Do we have our L? Yeah, what is it? It's 25. So be careful with your what you're looking at, right? Y is 25 this time. Okay. And then how do we get X? Well, our L is 25, right? So we do 25 square root of 2, which as a decimal round to tens place is 35.6. Okay. Now, number 3 is a little different because this time we have our hypotenuse and we're missing our X and Y, right? So again, we start off by normal labeling everything. Okay, X will be labeled as a leg and Y will also be labeled as a leg. Okay, well, 19 is our hypotenuse, right? And our hypotenuse is known as L square root of 2. So what happens here is we need to solve for L, right? We need our L to figure out our X and Y. Okay, you solve just like normal, as if this was just a variable, okay? Because it is, L is a variable. So I'm going to take out this, I'm going to bring it down so I have room to work. Okay, so 19 equals L square root of 2. Now, what are we solving here for? Are we solving for the 19, the L, or the square root of 2? We're solving for L, okay? So, this is L times square root of 2, right? Because there's no plus, there's no minus in between them, and it's not L over square root of 2, right? So this is L times square root of 2. So what's opposite of multiplication? Division. So we're going to divide by square root of 2 on both sides. Okay, well, these are the same, right? So square root of 2 divided by square root of 2 is 1. So as you guys say, you cancel it out, right? So it leaves us with 19 square root of 2 equals L. Okay, but again, we need a decimal, right? So let's go to our calculators. And again, it's 19 over square root of 2. So therefore, we're going to do 19 divided by square root of 2. We get 13.4350, which rounded is 13.4, right? So L equals 13.4, which that means X and Y, since they're both L, we just found out that L is 13.4. All right, if you guys did not understand that, okay, go back. Okay, all we are doing is labeling. We realize we don't have our L's, our legs, so therefore we need to solve for the variable L right here. Okay, and that's what we did. Okay, just like normal, as if it was an X or a Y. But since X and Y are already in our problem, we don't want to call it that, because then it can get confusing. Okay, you can call it even, no, don't call it anything else. All right, just label it L. Okay, all you did was solve for L. So that's a 45, 45, 90 special right triangle. It's an easier one because two of your sides, they're congruent, right? For example, number 3, X and Y were both L, so X and Y were both 13.4. Okay, now, since 30, 60, 90 triangle is a different triangle, it gets different rules. Okay, so this time, again, you still have 2 legs and a hypotenuse, but now you have the shorter leg and the longer leg. Okay, legs still touch the 90-degree angle. So this is a leg and this is a leg. Well, it's really easy to see which one's a shorter leg, right? The bottom one is a shorter leg, so that's going to be called L. Okay, stands for leg. All right, and then the longer leg, which of course is this left line, will be called L square root of 3. So L square root of 3. I really like this hypotenuse because all it is 2 times L. So the hypotenuse, which is across for the 90-degree angle, is 2L. Okay, so it's really important that you memorize which ones are legs, which one's a hypotenuse. The legs touch the 90-degree angle. The hypotenuse is opposite 90-degree angle, right? I heard the last clip yesterday during first block, which is my playing period. And then I taught three classes and I lost my voice at the end of the day. This is the next day. I'm currently at home and I barely have a voice and I feel awful, but you guys have class today. I need to finish this recording. So I'm gonna try to do the best I can. Okay, just bear with me. I'm sorry if I make mistakes. I feel like I'm currently dying, but you guys need to learn these notes. So I'm here trying to do that. Okay. I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm trying to do this all in one clip. All right. So last thing we left off was like these rules, right? Now, 30, 60, 90 special right triangle is not as easy as 45, 45, 90 because not all the sides are congruent, right? We had the shorter leg, the longer leg, and the hypotenuse. Okay, so again, you want to start these off by labeling it every single time. So I always find my number first. So like a number 4, I see 5. Well, is that the shorter leg, longer leg, or hypotenuse? It's the shorter leg, so we label that L, right? All right, then I see X, which is my longer leg, because of course it's longer than this one and touches the 90-degree angle. Okay, so we labeled that as L square root of 3. And how do I know all this? Again, because of these rules. You guys have to memorize these rules. Thankfully, with your quiz, you'll have your notes. But when it comes to the test, like you're gonna have to memorize them, okay? Which means you have to practice, practice, practice. I'm so sorry that's loud in your ear. And then Y is the hypotenuse, so it's 2L, right? Okay, well, this problem's easy. Anytime you're given your L, like you have a number that is L, that's the easier one because you just substitute in for L, right? So 5 is L, which means my X, which is L square root of 3, is 5 square root of 3. Okay, but again, remember, we can't type that in Canvas. Okay, and there's times where it gets really complicated, where you have to simplify your radicals. And like honestly, that's hard. We don't have time to teach you that. So you'll learn more of that in Algebra 2. It's not hard, there's just different ways to teach it. Okay, so let's go to our calculator, and again, you need practice in this. You're just gonna type it in as is, right? So calculator, and we just had 5 square root of 3, right? So I hit the 5 button, hit second x squared, typed in 3, and I hit enter. So we get that long decimal. And again, we always, always, always round to the tenths place. So it's going to be a number, point, another number. And it ends like that, right? So this one is 8.66. So that rounds to 8.7, right? And since that's oh no, we'll get into that later. Okay. And then Y is 2 times L, right? Well, 2 times my L is 5. So what's 2 times 5? 10. Okay, and it's easy as that. Number 5 is the exact same thing. Okay, they give you the shorter leg, which is L. Okay, this is your longer leg because it touches the 90-degree angle, L square root of 3. And then this is your hypotenuse, so it's 2L. So I want you guys to work this by yourself. Okay, actually work it. Pause this video and work it because I want to see your work when I check your notes the next class. Okay, if you don't have this, you're going to get points off. If you don't have your notes, you're going to have a 0. Okay, so work it, and I will put the answer just so you can check it. Okay, x will be 28. Okay, it's 2 times your L, right? Y as a decimal will be 24.2. Okay, I want to see some work. Okay. All right, number 6. Let's talk about number 6 because this time it doesn't give you your shorter leg, right? This time the number is your hypotenuse. Well, what do we know the hypotenuse is? What is the rule for the hypotenuse in a 30, 60, 90? It's 2L. Okay, let's go ahead and label everything else. I know my shorter leg here is X, so that's L. And then Y is my longer leg, which is L square root of 3. Okay, again, keep looking back at your rules. Okay, and so what we have to do is solve for L. Did we do? Yeah, we did that up here. Okay, you solve for L because you need it, right? It's just like you solve for X. There's literally nothing different. Okay, this is an equation and you're trying to isolate that variable. So if you had 32 equals 2 times X, right? You would divide both sides by 2. There's nothing different even though it's an L. Okay? You guys are probably like, okay, you can stop repeating that, but it needs to be drilled in your head. Okay? So we're trying to get L by itself. We divide by 2 on both sides, and 32 divided by 2 is 16. So now we have L is 16, right? So X, we said is L. So what is X? 16. Okay, and Y, we said is L square root of 3, right? So Y will be 16 square root of 3. And then, of course, we need to put that in our calculator and convert to a decimal. Oop. Okay, so let's convert 16 square root of 3 into a decimal. So 1/6. Second, x squared to get our square root. Put in 3. What does that give us? 27.7. I'm so sorry, y'all. I try not to do that in your ear. Can't help it. All right, again, number 7 is the exact same thing. So work it by yourself. Okay? Literally the exact same thing. Okay, so I want to see your work on this paper. I'm not going to work it out for you. I am going to give you the answer. So pause this video. I know I'm being annoying, y'all. I know you're sick of hearing me do this. Okay, trust me. But I want you guys have to practice this. Okay, and I know because I taught it last year and kids struggle. Okay, because they did not practice. Okay, you get x equals 39.8 and y equals 23. Okay, if you have questions about it, let me know when I come back. I'll be there on Thursday. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about number 8 because this time, what number do we have? Is that my shorter leg, longer leg, or hypotenuse? This time, the number 20 is the longer leg. And what's the rule for the longer leg? L square root of 3. Okay. My x this time is hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is known as 2L. And then my y is my shorter leg, which is just known as L. Okay, so what do we have to do? Okay, because we don't have our L, right? Our whole goal is to get L because that will give us all our answers, right? All right, so we have to solve for L right here. And again, this is an equation. Okay, it says 20 equals L times square root of 3. So we want L by itself. What are we going to do? We're going to divide both sides by the square root of 3. Okay, this is kind of like, so you get L equals 20 square root of 3. Now, it's really bad math etiquette. It's actually like super bad. You can't leave a square root in the bottom of a fraction, which is why you have to simplify and do a whole bunch of like math things. Okay, but in geometry, right now, we're not worried about that. I probably am getting hated on by other math teachers by saying that. Okay, we do not have the time to teach y'all simplifying radicals. So just put it in your calculator, convert to decimal. 20 divided by square root of 3. Okay, you get 11.5. Now, that is your y. Why is that your y? Because y is L. So you're going to put 11.5 for that answer. However, you want to keep this decimal in your calculator. Because when you do 2 times L, you want to use the entire decimal, okay? You do not want to round your decimal until it is your final answer. Okay, for example, I rounded when I went for y because that was my final answer. However, now I have to solve for x, which is 2 times L, right? So instead of typing this whole decimal in, what you can do is just hit the multiply button. You see how it gives me A and S in my calculator? That's saying the answer that I got for the last one, 11.54700, whatever, is taking that decimal and putting it in as A and S answer. Okay, so we're going to multiply that answer by 2, which gives us 23.1, right? If I did 11.5 times 1, oh, not 11.5 times 1, 11.5 times 2, see how it would only give me 23, not 23.1? So you would get this wrong. Okay, that's why we want to use the entire decimal. If we use the entire decimal, the closer we are to an exact answer. Okay, so our answer will be 23.1 because we multiplied 2 right here by the entire decimal. Okay. Write that on our notes. Do not round until the final answer. Okay, that's why they're kind of big on simplifying radicals because people tend to round, but we're just going to convert everything to a decimal. All right, let's do number 9 together because actually number 9, it looks complicated because that radical, that square root's already there. I don't think I mentioned this. A radical is a square root or it's a cube root. Okay. Oh, I didn't get to the 3. This is called a radical. Okay. So when I'm talking about that, that's what that is. Okay. So what do we start off by doing these problems? With a lot of problems, right? We label. Okay. We label our rules. Okay. So immediately my eyes get drawn to the number. Well, I see 9 square root of 3. Is that my shorter leg, longer leg, or my hypotenuse? That is my longer leg. 1, it's a leg because it touches the 90-degree angle. 2, it's the longer one than that one, right? So what is our longer leg rule? Look right there. It's L square root of 3. Okay? Okay, what is X's rule? That's L because it's my shorter leg, and what is Y's rule? 2 times L because it's my hypotenuse. Okay, you want to know why 9 is so easy, even though that radical is there? It's because L will be 9. Okay, look at this. It says 9 square root of 3, right? This says L square root of 3. What's the only difference? The 9 and the L, right? So L is 9. And let me tell you why from a mathematical standpoint. Okay, let's say we do this like normal. Okay, we have 9 square root of 3 equals L times square root of 3, right? So we divide both sides by square root of 3. Okay, these cancel out because square root of 3 divided by square root of 3 is 1, right? Well, look, I have it again right here. Square root of 3 divided by square root of 3 is 1. So the only thing left is the 9. Okay, so that's how it is mathematical standpoint. So L equals 9. Okay, and what I just erased, if you didn't write that down, definitely go back and write that down because you need to understand that for your notes. Okay, I just erased it due to space. Okay, and again, if you did not understand what I said, rewind. Okay, so what is our x? Our x is 9 because we just said L is 9, right? And x is L. Okay, what is y? Well, y is 2 times L. So our L is 9, so 2 times 9 is 18. Okay? Again, this stuff is not hard. You just need extra practice, which when you flip to the next page, you guys have a lot of practice, okay? But we're going to do a couple of these together. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 problems together on this page, and the rest are ones that can possibly be on your classwork. Okay. And again, I need y'all to put your work on your notes so I can give y'all credit for your classwork and whatnot. Okay. All right. So we're going to start off by doing number 10 together. Okay. So we're going to do number 10 together. We will do number 12 together, 14, 16, and then we'll do 20, 22, 24 together. Okay. So 10. Okay, this is mixed practice, right? So you're going to see 45, 45, 90-degree triangles, and 30, 60, 90. Okay, first thing you need to do is see which triangle it is. Okay, so for example, on number 10, is it 45, 45, 90, or is it 30, 60, 90? Okay, well, clearly it's 45, 45, 90, right? Because there's 45 right here. Okay, so once you establish what kind of triangle it is, then you go label, right? So again, I just always start with my number, the one I see. So I see 28, right? Okay, well, is that my legs or my hypotenuse? Okay, that's my hypotenuse. And don't be scared to go back and flip to the rules. Okay, this is 45, 45, 90, right? So I see, all right, with my hypotenuse rule, it's L square root of 2. Okay, so equals L square root of 2. So immediately I know eventually I'm going to have to solve for my L, right? X is L and Y are both L because those are congruent sides. Okay. So let's solve for our L. So what am I going to do when I solve for my L? I'm going to divide by square root of 2, right? Because that is L times square root of 2. Okay, well, what is 28 divided by square root of 2? Everyone put in your calculator. Y'all need to practice this. 28 divided by square root of 2. 19.79. Now, are we going to immediately round this one? Or are we going to keep it as a long decimal? We're actually going to go ahead and round because we just need L, right? I don't need to do L square root of 3 or L square root of 2 or anything. So I just need L. So our answers will be 19.8 and 19.8. Okay, that one was pretty easy. Okay. So, all right, then number 12. Again, what do we start off by doing? Okay, you have to decide which special right triangle y'all know what I'm trying to say. Okay, it is. Okay, well, which one is it? It's a 45, 45, 90. Okay, our 4 here, will it be labeled as L or L square root of 2? Okay, X will be labeled as L because they're both my legs, because they're both touching the 90-degree angle, right? And my Y will be L square root of 2. Let me double check that. Let me go back to the rules. I have a paper right beside me. Yeah. Okay, hypotenuse is L square root of 2. Okay, well, is this one easy? And when I mean easy, like, are we given our L? Yes, our L is 4, right? So what is X? It is also 4. Okay, well, what is Y? It's 4 square root of 2, right? So what do we have to do? Put it in our calculator. 4 square root of 2. Oop, I put 44. 4 square root of 2 is 5.656. Okay, do we round or do we keep the decimal? We round because that's my final answer, right? So it's 5.7. Okay, so there's my 45, 45, 90s, right? Now 14, we have a 30, 60, 90 because 30 is right here. Okay, so I know that this 15 square root of 3 is my shorter leg, longer leg, or hypotenuse. It's my longer leg. We'll flip to the back and see what is the longer leg rule. It's L square root of 3, right? Okay, well, what's X? My L, because it's my shorter leg, and what is Y? 2 times L, because it's my hypotenuse. Again, I've only got good at this because I practice it. Okay. Now, we have to solve for L, right? Because we don't know our L yet. Okay, because we just have this. Well, this one's easy. What is our L? It's 15. Because again, these are basically the exact same, right? It's 15 square root of 3 and L square root of 3. Well, what's in the L's place? 15. We can only do that because they are the same square roots, okay? Because again, if I were to solve, I would divide by square root of 3. These would cancel because they're the exact same thing, right? Well, these would also cancel, which would leave me with 15 equals L. Okay, that's why that works. Okay, so L is 15, which means X is also 15, right? And what would Y be? 2 times 15, which is 30. Okay. All right, now we're going to do 16, which, again, what kind of triangle is it? It is a 30, 60, 90, which means we follow the shorter leg, longer leg, and hypotenuse rule. Okay, well, what is my number here? Is it on the shorter leg, longer leg, or hypotenuse? It's on the longer leg, which means that rule is, let's look. I'm going to flip back to my notes just to make sure I'm not wrong. Okay, it says the longer leg equals L square root of 3. So this one I gotta do a little work, right? Because Y is L, and I don't know what number that is yet. And then X is 2L. Okay, so how are we going to solve for our L here? It's very redundant, but again, y'all need to practice. We divide by the square root of 3. Okay, well, what do we do with that? These cancel. So L equals 6 divided by square root of 3. So we gotta go convert that to a decimal. 6 divided by square root of 3 gives us 3.5. Now, that is L, right? So my L will be 3.5 rounded. And my L is Y. Okay, so this is 3.5. Now again, I still have math to do, right? Because I gotta do 2 times L. So when we do math with when it's a decimal, okay, with this stuff, you want to keep it as a long decimal. Okay, you don't want to round because then you're not very specific. Okay, so again, we're gonna use long decimal to multiply by 2. Okay, so we're gonna hit times. And again, that gives me A and S. It gives me the answer right above this math that I'm doing. Times 2. I get 6.92, which will stay as 6.9. Okay. Okay. All right, let's get into the little bit more difficult stuff. Okay. So there's a lot going on here, right? This time we have 2 triangles. Okay, so let's color coordinate the 2 triangles. If you don't have a highlighter, get up and get one. Okay, the sub knows that you can use anything in my classroom. That's meant for y'all. Okay, let's color the 2 triangles. Okay, because then it's easier to talk about, right? All right, so let's look what we got here. Okay, let's dissect the number 20. Okay, I see I have 2 triangles. This one, what kind of triangle is it? It's 45, 45, 90, right? The blue one, what kind of triangle is that? 60, right? Okay, so with this one, what you want to do is 1, color coordinate your 2 triangles. 2, you want to find the triangle that has the number in it. Okay, for example, which one has my number? The pink one or the blue one? And like when I'm talking about number, I'm not talking about the angles, I'm talking about the side. Okay, so the pink one is the one with the number in it, right? So what I want to do is go ahead and solve. Okay, the one that has the number in it. So it's 45, 45, 90, right? 32 here. That will be labeled as L because it's a leg. Okay, my X will be labeled as L, let's see what our hypotenuse is, square root of 2. Okay, guys, my hypotenuse. Now, there's not a variable over here or anything. Okay, but you still want to label this because what you have to do, it's kind of like one of the problems we worked last class. I can't remember exactly what it was. But we had to find that missing side so we can find information in the other triangle. Okay, so this one's easy. They give me my L. My L is what? 32. Okay, that means my X is 32 square root of 2, right? Okay, so let's convert that to a decimal. 32 square root of 2. Okay, so that's 45.3, which that will be my final answer because all I need is X, right? I don't have to do any math with that L. Okay. And then, of course, again, what is our L? It's 32. So this will be 32. Okay, now we found all these sides in the pink triangle, right? So now we need to focus on the blue triangle. Now, what's crazy is that, okay, with an aspect to the blue triangle, this side is at my shorter leg, longer leg, or my hypotenuse. And I'm saying that because this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle, right? So that is my longer leg, which has a different formula, right? A different rule. So in this one, my rule, ooh, I don't want to use my highlighter. Okay, whatever. With the hypotenuse of 30, 90, the rule is 2 times L, right? So I don't have my L in aspect to my blue triangle. I have my L for the pink triangle, but these are two totally different triangles, right? So we still have to solve for L here. Okay, but let's go ahead and label everything. So that's my hypotenuse, which is 2L. Okay, my Y is at the shorter leg or longer leg. It's the longer leg, so that is L square root of 3. And of course, my Z is L. Again, our L for this blue triangle is not 32 because this triangle and this triangle had different rules, right? So we still have to solve for L here. Okay, well, I know that this side is 32. Okay, and it's 2L, right? So what we gotta do is divide both sides by 2. So L for the blue triangle equals what? 16. Okay, and I will use that to help me find Y and Z, right? Like Z is L. Well, L for this blue triangle we just found out is 16. Okay, and Y is L square root of 3. Well, what is my L for the blue triangle? 16. So 16 square root of 3. We go convert that to a decimal. Again, pause this video if you need to. Okay, 16 square root of 3. You get what? 27.7. Okay, don't let your mind confuse you or convince you this is too hard to work. Okay, you guys are smart students. Okay, this year's sophomore class has done so much better than last year's sophomore class. Okay, you guys are so much capable. Okay, you just need to practice for the millionth time. Okay, number 22. What are we going to start off by doing? We're going to color coordinate our two triangles. Okay, so we have this small left one. I'm going to color it green. Some of you guys might think that's yellow. And I'm going to color this right one, this big one, a pink. Okay. All right. Now, let's determine what kind of special right triangles these are. Are they 45, 45, 90 and 30, 60, 90? No, they're actually both 30, 60, 90, right? So that makes things a little bit easier for us. Kind of, you'll see. Okay. All right. So, which triangle has our numbers in it for the sides? The green one. So we're going to start off with the green one. Okay, I'm only going to focus on this green one. We're going to pretend that pink one does not exist right now. Okay, now 7 square root of 3. Is that my short leg, long leg, or hypotenuse? Okay, well, what's 180 minus 90? It's 90. So my square is right there. Okay, this is not like this box goes to this big triangle, okay, which is kind of irrelevant. Okay, I don't know why they did that. They're trying to confuse you. Okay, it's not in this triangle. It's a part of that triangle. Okay, so this is my shorter leg, which the rule for that is L, right? Ooh, I don't think we've had 7 square root of 3. That's just L before. Okay, this one is L square root of, is it 3 or 2? 3. Okay, and X will be 2 times L, right? All right, so I want to go ahead and do 2 times L because I feel like that would be easier. So we're going to do 2 times, and then we use parentheses, right? Anytime we multiply, we use parentheses to help with that. And what's our L? Our L is all of this. Okay, so we're going to do 7 square root of 3, and we're going to put it in the calculator exactly like this. Okay, so let's go to our calculator together. 2 parentheses 7 square root of 3. Okay, now if you look, I'm going to zoom in. Don't hit anything yet. If you look, you see how they want to put my parentheses underneath that square root? What I have to do is hit the arrow button to come out of it. Okay, and then hit enter. So that gives me 24.2. Let me check my calculator, make sure that's right. Because sometimes I'll be wrong too. Yeah, 24.2. Okay, so X is 24.2. Okay, now I gotta figure out what this line is, right? Because we gotta figure out this line so it can help me find Z and Y. Okay, so L is 7 square root of 3, right? So we gotta do 7 square root of 3 times square root of 3. Okay, so let's go to the calculator to do it. Again, I'm gonna put that in parentheses. Okay, 7 square root of 3. I'm gonna hit my right arrow button to come out of that square root. Why does it do that? Hold on. Okay, sorry, I was just testing something out. Y'all, it's like you're actually in class with me. We're not messing up. Alright, times square root of 3. And that gives you 21. Okay. If you want to know why, just for funsies. Okay, you can skip this part if you want to. But oh no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna confuse you. No, I feel like I should. Alright, so 3 times 3, you can multiply these because they both have square root, right? Well, what is 3 times 3? 9. And what's the square root of 9? 3. So the answer is 7 times 3. You'll learn that more in Algebra 2. I just thought it was just fun to know. Alright, so that's why it's 21. So this side right here is 21, right? I'm just going to write over that. Y'all can erase it on your notes. Okay, but here's the thing. Okay, yes, they're both 30, 60, 90 triangles. But for this green triangle, this line was the longer leg, right? But for the pink triangle, it's the shorter leg. So, yet again, 21 doesn't work for the pink triangle, okay? Because it has a different rule. So let's go ahead and label it. So we know 21 is a shorter leg, so that will be L, right? For this pink triangle. Again, we're done with this green triangle. We can throw her in the trash. Okay. Z is my longer leg, which is the rule for that is L square root of 3, right? And Y is my hypotenuse. Okay, it's a cross for the 90-degree angle, which is 2 times L. Okay, so we have our L, so that makes it a little bit easier this time. So Z, oh, why did you erase? That was so rude. Okay, Z is L times square root of 3. In this case, it'll be 21 square root of 3, which as a decimal. Oh, why did I put Y as 21, y'all? I'm so sorry. Yo, I'm so sorry. That's the one mistake I made. Um, There was no y here. I don't know why I immediately just put that as 21. Y is right here, y'all. I'm so sorry. So sorry. Um, all right. Going back to z. Okay, z is 21 square root of 3. So we are going to convert that to a decimal, and it's 36.4. Okay. So, and that's z. Okay, be careful. Watch out for your variables, unlike I did. Okay, be better than me. All right, that's 36.4. And y is 2 times L, right? For this pink triangle, we said that our L is what? 21. So 2 times 21, which is 42. Okay. All right, and last but not least, 24. Just one more practice, especially since I just messed that last one up just a little bit. All right, what do we start off by doing? Color coordinating. Okay. I do this one pink. It's my favorite color. It doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't matter. And I'm gonna do this one green. All right, next thing you need to do is realize what kind of triangles these are. So this top one is what kind of special right triangle? 45, 45, 90. This bottom one is 30, 60, 90, right? Okay, but once we establish that, we need to look at which one has the number of a side in it. Okay, which this time is the bottom one, right? The bottom one has 18. Okay, so that's where we start. That's how you know to start off, where to start. Okay, so 18. This is a 30, 60, 90. So we have a shorter leg, longer leg, and a hypotenuse. 18 here is my longer leg. So that's my L square root of 3. Okay. Z is my shorter leg, so that's just L. And this is my 2L because my hypotenuse, right? So immediately I notice I don't have my L. I have to solve for it. So we're going to divide by square root of 3 on both sides. These cancel. And L is 18 over square root of 3. Let's convert that to a decimal. Okay, so what is it? It is 10.39, which rounded is 10.4. Okay, we're going to round that one as a final answer because we need our L right here, right? So Z is 10.4. Okay, but to find 2L right here, we're not going to round it. Okay, so we're going to do times 2, and we get 20.78, which is 20.8. Okay, now that is the final answer because we found out that side is 20.8. Okay, but now we need to find X and Y, right? So what we're going to do is label those rules, right? So X and Y are both L. And then this one is L square root of 2. Okay, well now I gotta solve for L, right? So 20.8 equals L square root of 2. What am I going to do to get L by itself? Divide by square root of 2. So 20.8 divided by square root of 2 equals 14.7, which is our answer for both X and Y. Okay. All right. So now you guys are going to do your classwork. Sorry about that mess up on this one problem. Sorry, my voice is annoying because I'm sick. Okay, I'm going to go post this. I'm going to take a nap. Y'all be good for the sub. I love y'all. I miss y'all. I'll see you Thursday. Bye, y'all.